Ah, welcome to Eight Questions with. I'm Patrick. I'm your host. Happy Hump Day, everybody. Um, looking out at a beautiful summer evening that's crisscrossing over crisscrossing southeastern Michigan. Beautiful, beautiful day. Uh, welcome to Eight Questions with, as I said, with our guest, um, screenwriter, producer, actress Leah McKendrick. Um, super excited for this show. I know you guys are all saying, but isn't he all excited for every show? And yeah, but this show has a little bit of more umph to it. And we're going to get to that when Leah gets here, how this show came to be. Um, fun story. So I'll share it with you. Um, I already see I got the three people watching in the chat. And feel free to give us a like if you like to. That'd be awesome. I'm going to share us out a little bit. As always, our friend Kevin K from Tuber Chat, he created a Reddit page group for us to promote our live streams. And so I take advantage of that and I push it out there. And thank you so much, Kevin, for letting us do that. Greetings, Vincent. Greetings. Today was a very long day for me, really long. Seemed like I was running to catch up from behind all day. But glad to be here. Glad you guys are here with us. Feel free to share us out if you'd like to. Hello, Professor Fox. How are you? Glad you and Vincent are here. Our guest will be here shortly. Leah McKendrick, like I said, is an actress, screenwriter, and producer. I first met her through a film that I reviewed called Pamela and Ivy, which is a short film on their take of the origins of Poison Ivy, and extremely, extremely well done. Very professional, very canon. Um, and I've also watched. She's also starred in a movie called M.F.A, Master of Fine Arts, that she wrote and starred in with Francesca Eastwood, Clint Eastwood's daughter. That did very, very well. Uh, uh, a rape revenge vigilante movie, and she's also can do comedy. I've watched her in a movie that I got called The Turkey Bowl, which was a lot of fun. She's very sassy. Um, so yeah, she's definitely going to be a fun person to talk with tonight. Um, but I'm going to do something I didn't get to do yesterday because got a little bit of scattered a little bit. But and speaking of that, yesterday, I want to say thank you again to Aiden McKenzie for stepping in at the last minute to step in and help us out by appearing on the show. Our regular scheduled guest Vance Capley was taken ill, and Aiden was kind enough to step in and take over for him. We are hoping to get Vance Capley back real soon. As soon as he gets done, recovering, got to recover first. So I'll let you guys know what's coming up here next week. Well, starting tomorrow, we have our friend Michelle from the YouTube channel Makeup Mom and Son. She will be here. She'll be talking about her channel, and we'll be talking a little bit of horror movies. Hey, Cos, how are you, sir? Glad you're here. Uh, so next Tuesday, we have our friend Chadwick Whitmire here. Now, everybody knows Chadwick. He's been a really supportive of all of our channels, and he is trying to get his acting and directing career off the ground. And everybody's got to start somewhere. So we're going to have an interview with Chadwick and help him out a little bit and boost his profile. See why he wanted to get into this crazy business called filmmaking. Uh, on the 15th, next Wednesday, on the 15th, we will have a special start time. We will be starting the show at 12 noon time, Eastern time. Wow. Oh, our guest is here a little early. Well, you know what? That's fine, because I'm sure we can keep talking. Hi, Leah.
Hi, no rush on whatever. I was just making sure we're all good working.
No, I believe, you know what? I'm sort of glad you came in early, because you know what? I'm sure, knowing me and how many questions and how many things I want to talk to you about, this won't be but a thing.
You want to start now? Am I already live on and everything?
Yeah. You can. Yep. Yeah. I'm glad. I'm glad you're here. I generally go on about 15 minutes early before the start of the show.
Okay. Yeah.
I was doing the calendar. I'll finish my calendar and then we'll go. Now you can see how it works.
Take your time. I'm
See
chill.
how the magic works.
Love it.
So the 15th of September, we'll be starting at a special time at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time as we head over to Ireland to talk to director-screenwriter Aisling Clarke. Aisling is one of our favorites. She has done many fine films, including one of our favorites, the ISC midnight film, The Devil's Doorway. And she also wrote Eye Exam, Childers, and there's a new movie she wrote out for that's Gaelic. I can't pronounce the name of the movie. I would just mess it up. But we'll be talking to her on the 15th of September at noon. And then the 16th of September, speaking of Leah here, we have another actress that did a project of Leah's. Hillary Kieran will be here. And Hillary did an excellent short that Leah wrote called Unicorns. It is a magnificent short film, powerful, moving, and Hillary is the star of that movie, and she did a great job, fantastic job. And that show will start at 8 o'clock next a week from tomorrow. The calendar is always here. Everybody knows that. The first thing I always do is I always grab it and show the calendar off. Yeah. I was in music for about 10 years, Leah, and in California. Actually, I was not that far away from you. I lived in San Jose for 15 years.
Well, right on. I'm from Northern California. I'm from San Francisco.
Yeah, I worked in Palo Alto.
Oh, right on.
Been to San Francisco many times. Do you ever go out? You ever go out and listen to live music at all?
In Palo Alto?
In San Francisco.
I used to a lot. Yeah, I used to sing. So I sang a lot in the Bay Area before I moved to SoCal. But now, yeah, with COVID, not in a minute. I mean, I just did Bottle Rock in Napa and saw a ton of music up in Napa. I just got back on Monday. Was that yesterday? What day is it? I don't even know. Yeah. But that was pretty cool to see some live music we haven't in a while.
Did you ever go to Slim's or the bottom of the hill?
Yeah, Slim's. I remember. I don't know if I've ever been in Bottom of the Hill.
Oh my gosh, you got to go back.
But where's that at?
17th in Texas.
Okay, right on. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, you have to go back and do a Bottom of the Hill show. You can lose your San Francisco card if you don't go to the Bottom of the Hill.
No, right. I can't be losing my San Francisco card.
No. You know, Slim's is no more, right?
Is it gone? I had heard that. I heard a lot of our spots in the city have been getting stamped out right and left, which is tough.
Yeah, because I would say some of my rooms I used to go to was like the Blue Lamp, the End Up. Used to go to End Up. Used to go to End Up after raves
Mm.
in the 90s.
Raver?
Hmm?
Are you a big raver?
You know what? I got into it sort of late. But maybe as far well, not late, but I was doing live music, but I went to a few. It was always really fun because you always had to follow. You always had to follow like a trail to get to the rave. Like
Right.
if you wanted to go there, someone would pass out a flyer. On the flyer would be a phone number, and then you call the phone number up there, and then they tell you to. It'd be a pre-recorded voice saying to go to a store. You go to a store, it'd be like a clothing store or whatnot, and then you would get another phone number, and you call the phone number, and then you get another store. What they were trying to do, they're trying to throw off the cops. They're making it hard to find.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and you would end up at a parking lot. They would have buses there. People would bus in to the rave and out. It was a lot of fun.
It was legit. That sounds
Yeah.
super cool.
And then after the rave was over, then everybody would all meet at the End Up, which is a very well known gay bar that everybody loved. Everybody loved. Everybody showed up there. It was an amazing place to be. Full of energy, and we're talking like 6 in the morning here. 6. We've been working up all night. Then we get out of our clubs. Then we drive up to San Francisco, go raving for like 5 or 6. Maybe about 4 or 5 hours intense raving.
Mm-hmm.
Then go to End Up, get breakfast, have drinks. They have more music, more DJs, and then you try to creep home without falling asleep on the road.
Love that.
I just want to say hi to everybody in the chat. We have let's say, hi Katie B. Welcome to 8 Questions with. Thank you for please make Katie welcome. This is the first time here.
Hi.
And so yeah, I was really excited when I saw you from San Francisco. I wanted to ask you. I'm going like, I wonder if she's ever been to any of the nightclubs. Paradise Lounge, DNA, but I think they're all gone. I think the only one left is Bottom of the Hill with the legendary Ramona Downey. So speaking of that, were you born and raised in San Francisco?
I was. It's funny because I was just home and I was just thinking about this, that I was born in San Francisco, but my parents moved to the suburbs for the first few years of my life. And my mom is an immigrant from Nicaragua, and she did not connect to the suburbs in Marin. She just did not connect. She was like the only person that wasn't white, and she had a really hard time with it. And at a certain point, she kept telling my dad, like, because my dad's white, I want to move to the city. I want to move to the city. You work in the city. Why am I out here? And then he kind of kept saying, yeah, I'll move you to the city. And then finally she said, I'm taking my kids and I'm moving to the city. And you can come with me or you can stay, but I'm raising my kids in the city. And my dad was like, okay. So then I think when I was like 6, we moved in and lived in the city. So I grew up after 6 in San Fran, went to school there until I moved out for college.
I was actually born in Vallejo.
Right on. Very cool.
So very close. I mean, but I didn't stay very long. I mean, I ended up moving to Southern California at a relatively early age. Actually, I went more north than I went south. But yeah, Marin County could be a little rough.
I still have family that lives there, and I went and I saw my grandma. She has like a Thursday night spot that she sings at every week. Every Thursday she sings. I think it's called like the Belle Rose or something, the Bella Rose. And I just saw her and it was a Thursday and she was like getting ready to go sing with the piano. Like, she's so cute. She's living her life. She's going to be 90 years old and she's the star we're in. Love her.
No, you need to post a video on that.
I know. I took a video. She sang Over the Rainbow for me for my birthday when I was home last week, and I cherish it. She's such
Yeah,
a one.
I meant to say that last week you celebrated a birthday.
I did on Friday.
Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
I think everybody now in the chat's going to say happy birthday, Leah. So get ready for that.
That's nice. I love a birthday.
Yes. Yeah, birthdays, yeah, yeah. I had my birthday was August 26th. So
Oh,
not that far back in own self.
yes. Are you a Virgo?
I am.
You are a Virgo. Right on. Happy birthday to you.
But most of the people they ask me what my sign is, I always tell them stop. So I mean, it always throws them for a loop.
We're Virgo.
And here we go. Shane Salk says happy birthday.
Oh, yeah. Why
Callie,
did
Callie,
I'm
I think a lot of these things are yours.
I'm seeing the comments. I didn't realize that I could see the comments too. Oh, that's cool. Hi guys. Thank you.
Yeah, this is awesome. This is so cool that folks are coming in to see you. You said that you didn't think that nobody was going to come in and say hi, but I sort of knew differently. I'm more like, everybody wants to hang out with Leah because very talented, very hardworking, very charming.
Thank you.
And so I want to tell people how we met.
Yeah.
So you and I met through actually I and Mariah Owen met through your publicist Krista.
Mm-hmm.
You sent me the Pamela and Ivy short to review for the blog.
Mm-hmm.
I did, and I absolutely loved it. I'm a fanboy. I'm a comic nerd. So when I'm watching it, I'm just like, oh yeah, this is excellent. Very well done.
Thank you.
So I went ahead and I said, "Can you guys want to do an interview with me? A written interview." But I was doing written interviews, which I still do. And I got Mariah. Mariah was like all over it, but I think I caught you right in a really bad spot because you were really, really busy.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, "Oh crap!" But I still wanted to hear what you guys had to say about your movie. So I booked you into a live a podcast. Dr. Evil's podcast. And you and Mariah both did the show together. And then after that, I just was sitting there waiting for the right time to see about getting another interview. I just always seem to catch you right when you're really busy.
Yeah.
But I got you here.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, that was so fun. And then what I really loved is because I was trying to get Hillary after I reviewed Unicorns, and I reviewed Unicorns last year, and I've been trying to catch her for an interview, and I had zero luck. And then you posted a picture on your Instagram of you and Hillary standing side by side, and I commented to you on a privately. I said, "Oh, Hillary, you're friends with Hillary. Oh, she's amazing talent. I've been trying to get her to get an interview, and I've had no luck."
Mm-hmm.
And then tell us what you did. Tell us what you did when you heard when I wrote that.
I was sitting right next to her. And I was like, "You got to do this interview, Hill." She goes, "I didn't get asked to do an interview." I was like, "You did. Check your DMs." And she checked. She was like, "Oops, I did." And so she responded right then, and she's going to do it.
Yeah, she's going to be here on the 16th. And then we got the director for Unicorns, Candace Corella will be here on the 29th. So, and then I asked Mariah to come on the show in November, and she's going to make her first appearance on the show.
Yay.
So I'm very excited. Yeah. You have a very close-knit, you're very close with your friend. You have a really tight group. I noticed that.
Yeah.
Now, all these people that did you meet them all when you were growing up, or was this after you got involved with the business?
They all come from like different parts of my life. I have friends, like my best friend, we would walk to school together when we were little girls, and we are still so close. And we lived like 3 blocks away from each other in San Fran. So I have friends from a million years ago. I have friends that I was very close to in high school. I have very close friends from college. And then I have several chapters from LA, whether I met them doing a specific project, or I met them in acting class, or I met them. Hillary and I have lived together for many years. And so we're very good friends and roommates. And so it's, yeah, I feel like I have accumulated a group of really amazing people. And now they're all friends. They all know each other too, because I love a good party and I love a good trip. So I feel like a lot of my friends have either like traveled with me or got met at my birthdays or met, now they do projects together and I don't even need to be here. They're all friends now. So yeah, no, I'm really actually very quite proud of the clique I got.
I'm looking over the chat. There's a ton of people in here wishing you happy birthday.
Oh, I only look at that. I'm trying to hide my face because if I see myself, I get really vain and I'll just look at myself the whole time. So I try to hide it. So I'm hiding half of the I'm hiding half of the screen right now. Oh, that's so nice. Yeah, one of my best friends is on here. A lot of my best friends are on here. It's so sweet.
I want to go back to your childhood because we got to start from the beginning, right? That's generally where everybody starts off. So you moved to San Francisco. How old were you when you moved? When your mother moved you to the city itself?
Yeah, I was like 6.
Wow.
Little, yeah.
I mean, was it a lot of fun living in San Francisco?
You know what's so funny is people always say to me, they're always like, I grew up in Iowa. Like we had nothing to do. We were so bored. Wasn't it so amazing growing up in San Fran? And I'm like, we were bored too. we were driving around in our Corollas, honking at random people, hanging out at the In-N-Out parking lot. Like I feel like you're a teenager, you're bored. But now I think when you get a little older, you appreciate what you experienced. Like I used to go to the Castro every Halloween and there'd be a big parade and tons of people and like watching the Beta Breakers and seeing a bunch of naked people walking around and not really thinking much of it. Like I definitely had a pretty colorful upbringing and I think I didn't realize it as I was experiencing it. But now that I've been out of the city for just as long as I lived in the city, it's kind of crazy. Yeah, it was an experience for sure.
Did you spend some time down in the Haight?
Yeah, actually, my dad has a business, a real estate business, and so one of his properties is down there. So we spent a good amount there. I liked to go shopping a lot on the Haight, and I have a cousin that lived there for a while, and he was kind of always busking and playing music and meeting people, and people would be like, "I met your cousin on Haight Street," and I was like, "How does he just like tell everybody that he knows me?" I don't know how everyone's able to like connect the two of us in different cities. He'll be like, "I met this girl you went to school with." I'm like, how are you doing this?
I think people talk you up.
No, I don't know. My cousin just knows everybody all the time and is always meeting everyone in the weirdest, strangest places. My cousin James. Anybody that knows my cousin James knows that he is a very specific human being.
Yeah, the Haight for everybody who's never been down to in San Francisco. It is a wonderful place. At least it was when I was there. Had a lot of cool clubs there. A lot, like you said, a lot of cool shops, music stores, clothing stores, a lot of thrift stores. It was a really cool place.
Yeah, Haight's rad. It's
So where did you go to school at?
I went to Catholic school. I went to Catholic school most of my life. And then I graduated from high school. I went to Sacred Heart in the city. And then I went to Chapman University in Orange County. And that's where I studied acting. And I studied women's studies and sociology and a little bit of all the things I do now.
It's so weird. I feel like it's weird that we're so intertwined because my very first girlfriend, and she went to Claremont McKenna.
Oh, right on. Very cool.
So did you start your acting career in the city itself? And if so, where did you start at?
When I was young, I used to do musical theater, and I did that at New Conservatory Theater Center. And I was like raring to not be a kid and have my family move me to LA. And my family was like, not about that. They were like, it's not going to happen. If you want to, when you turn 18, you leave the house, you can pursue whatever you want. But like, we're not going to put you in show business that young. So I remember just being really frustrated. So even though I was like acting and I was singing, I started performing a lot when I was a teenager. It wasn't until I got down to SoCal that I really started hardcore pursuing it professionally.
And how old were you when you moved to Southern California?
I was 17 when I graduated high school, and I went, yeah.
Now, were you on your own when you moved down to Southern California, or did you have a family member with you, or?
Yeah, I didn't have any family with me. I just went to college like everyone else, moved into the dorms and made a family for myself from college and beyond. But yeah, it's funny because even now I go 17 is so young, but I remember thinking I was so mature and I had it on lock. And I was like, finally, these people have been cramping my style, making me live like a kid, live a normal kid's life. I'm not a civilian. I have shit to do. And now I'm like, what was I doing? Who let me go down there on my own? But no, yeah, I just kind of did the regular college kid thing.
Now, I don't know if you have kids or not, but if you do, if you have a daughter, would you let her do what you did?
Oh man, I don't have any kids.
Okay.
Yet. Would I let my kid? I mean, man, I feel like I want her to, yes, fly free and go to whatever school she wants to go to and live in the dorms. I would just probably be really psychotic about, do not put a drink down. You put your drink down, it's done. You get a new drink,
Yeah.
I would be so, I know all the tricks, right? And I have been there and definitely been in a lot of scary positions that I would never want my daughter in. So I would just hope that she would learn through my experience and that I could be very honest and open with her about the realities of going away to college and frat parties and going to Vegas when you with a fake ID and all the shit that I did that I'm like praying I get a good girl as a daughter. We'll see.
Wait a minute. Now, your mom does your mom know about all this adventures going on right now, or is this like a first for her? She gonna watch this and go like, "What you did? What?"
Oh, geez. There's a reason I don't tell her ever when I'm doing an interview. There's a reason she doesn't know ever, and she might find it at some point. I think that she has an idea of my mom like really taught me to be very independent. So, and she always told me when growing up, she was like, you're smart and tough. So I feel like she wasn't panicking, but I think she does panic a little bit when she hears things that I did that she had no idea about. Like I always think about how I was in recording studios at like 3 a.m. alone with a bunch of strangers at like 19 years old in LA. That was very typical for me to be sitting in studios with musicians in a cloud of smoke, like waiting for them to let me sing on a track or let me write on a track or whatever, or just like getting to know other artists, getting to know producers. And now I'm like, I would not want my 19-year-old girl that's just out of the house to be in some of these situations. But I've gotten into scary situations, but I've also gotten into really like lucky, beautiful, creative places. And it's not always as bad as it seems.
Doesn't it seem that the real happy-go-lucky places, that it just seems those are less today than they were yesterday?
Man, I don't know. I do people always ask me about my time as a singer before I was an actress, before I was a writer, and how come I don't talk about it too much. And part of it is just because I'm like, it was the Wild West, man. It was the Wild West next to Hollywood. Hollywood is infamous for having the casting couch and the darkness and the who and the grittiness, seediness of, we all are well versed in that. But the music industry, it was like Because it was very normal as a singer for me to get a text message or a call that was like, come to the studio right now. Somebody wants to meet with you, and it'd be like midnight on a Tuesday. And then as an artist, you're just like, all right, I'll be right there. Like that was very like typical. And a lot of musicians, they work through the night and they sleep through the day. And as you know, coming from the music industry, that is just how some people work. And some people, you know, smoke weed and get high and chill, and they can get relaxed that way. And that's sort of where their best work comes. So those lines are really blurred, you know, but I don't get any calls from my producers or my agents being like, go meet with your producer at, you know, midnight on a Tuesday. That would like never happen in Hollywood, not anymore. So yeah, I mean, I wonder what now. I've been out of the music industry for a while. I mean, I have sometimes my toe is dipped into it because of some of my projects, but I haven't been like a pop singer like I was in several years.
No, you're right about that. I'm just gonna go to the chat real quick. If you've been noticing, I think there's Leah McKendrick just stepped in.
Oh, that's my sister. Live for you, my dude. Isn't she the cutest?
She probably just heard that Vegas story for the first time. You might have to buy her silence.
No, she ain't selling me out. I got all her secrets too. We're full of skeletons.
Yeah, you're right about Hollywood. I mean, I was telling, I had an interview with my friend Jimmy Arsenault. Him and I, we worked at a 1,000-person venue called The Edge up in Palo Alto.
Cool.
And we knew about the Hollywood too. You know, we knew that, and you know this to be true, how, you know, bands be playing, the hair bands back then in the 90s, you know, they would come in and set up to play, you know, and there'd be record executives watching them.
Right.
And they were sitting there watching them, and that, you know, we're talking like bands that came to LA together, the original band. They get there to LA, and then they do a showcase, and afterwards the record executives will come up there and say, yeah, you need to lose your guitar player, you need to lose your bass player. We got people in the back, we got people that can take their places. And the bands would do that because they want the deal. So they would, you know, they would sit there and the guys that they came to they came out with, they're out of the band. So yeah, I get that. Yes, I agree with that, Audrey. She is a creative force.
Oh, that's
I totally agree with that. So what came first for you then, singing or writing? Because you are a writer too, but what came first for you creatively? Singing, and if so, was it songwriting, or was it just writing in general that came first for you?
My mom says that when I was 2, my grandma died when I was 2, her mom, and she was my little twinsy. She was like my little BFF, and we spent all our time together. And then when she died, I didn't like totally understand where she had gone because I spent every day with her. She lived with me, and my mom says that I would just be singing all of the time. And she would like catch me in my bedroom alone, and I was just singing and singing. And my mom's a therapist, and she's like, she says she realized then that I was an artist and I was self-soothing through song, and that was like how she learned a little bit that I was going to have, I guess, a different life and a different dream than I guess most people in some ways. And that's how I express myself. So I do feel like singing is just so innate and has always been my instrument and like the way that I express myself. And writing has always been hand in hand with that, because I would write my song lyrics since I was young, and I would write my poetry since I was young, and I always had a diary, always. And so whenever people, now that as a writer, sometimes people like tell me like, I want to write, I have an idea, but I don't know how to write. And I'm always like, we are all writers. We've all been writing our whole lives since we were young, you know, whether it be papers for school or Instagram posts or, you know, the book reports that we did, like we all have the skill of writing. And so I when I think about what came first, like music or writing, those things feel so just me to my core. Like, but yes, I didn't write screenplays per se.
No, I knew. Yeah.
Till like college, I don't think. I mean, I remember writing a screenplay when I was like in sixth grade or something. It was an assignment, like write a play. Like, oh, it wasn't a screenplay. It was like write a little skit or like like a little bit. And I was like, I had the most fun with it. And I remember I had this partner in class, and he did it with me. He was like there for me, and we like acted it out, and we did. And he was kind of shy, but he like went for it. And I remember everybody in the classroom like laughing and loving it. And I remember just thinking like, that was so much fun. Like, I should do that. I should do that more. And now it's so funny that I write scripts because I remember having that early taste when I was like 11 or something. But I do think just naturally music has always been a little bit more, right at my fingertips before I acted or before I wrote screenplays.
So now you're in college, right? Now you're down at Chapman, and
Mm-hmm.
now you're studying acting.
Yeah.
So how was that like? I mean, here you are, you're far from home. You walk inside your first acting class. I mean, what must have been going through your mind at the time?
I was really not into the idea of being in college. My parents were pretty, strict that I needed to go to school. I needed to get a degree. And I was like, I'm going to be a pop singer. Why am I even here? Like, this is a waste of my time. So I kind of had an attitude going in, and I felt like I had been really restrained all of my life by not getting to pursue the things I wanted to do. And I was just raring to go. So I would be in class during the day, and then at night and weekends, I was either performing somewhere, either back up in the Bay, or I was showcasing, or I was recording. I was just like all up in the town already. So it wasn't until I think like after my sophomore year where my first deal fell through that totally completely broke my heart, that I kind of went, maybe I should like be a normal college kid for a minute. Like, maybe I should actually, for the first time in my life, like be okay with where I'm at and like see what I can learn and absorb here. And that was a real big game changer for me, because that was sort of how I ended up becoming a screenwriter and taking my shit seriously as a filmmaker, because I was finally subscribing to the concepts we were learning about in school. Create your own content, have a voice, go out, find the work you want to make. But I was so somewhere else for the first couple of years of college because I was really focused on my music.
You mentioned you got a deal. Who did you get a deal with?
It was a deal with a fancy manager, and I had recorded this demo, and it was going to labels, and then the relationship with the manager sort of dissolved, and he kind of like held the ownership of my demos over. He like was like, I paid for these, I own these. I mean, it was a really crazy experience being so young, and him sort of being like, you're a star, you're all these things. It's like such a cliche story that you hear about, where they're like, you get discovered in a sense, and then you're so young that you just kind of trust everyone, and then they can hold all these kinds of. He had ownership of my demo, and it was. And then I felt like I was so empty-handed, like all of this work that I had put into writing and recording my work. It was like I just felt totally violated and just heartbroken. And also I had been really putting all of my eggs in that basket. I mean, I had friends at Chapman, and I was like showing up to class. I mean, I wasn't like blowing everything off, but I really wasn't like enjoying. Like, I remember there being some big like fraternity dance, and it was so cute, and I should have been really excited, and like a few guys asked me, and I was like, no, I'm performing. Like, I'm not, like, I just wasn't interested in like having the college experience. And now I feel kind of sad, because I'm like, I probably would have had fun. I would have had fun if I had been a little bit more involved those first couple of years. But I'm really grateful that that deal ended up completely biting me in the ass, because it taught me to not trust everyone. B, taught me that I had to have ownership of my own material. And then it also taught me that it's okay to be a normal college kid and to be 19 years old and to experience all those things because they will inform my work.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's well, you got an education for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that down there. To everybody who's listening to this, what Leah's saying, that's exactly how it works down there. Um, everybody's promise you everything. I can get you a major label deal. I can get you this. I can get you that. I can get you a showcase. You just go ahead and you don't get control of your masters. You sign away your masters because you think the person's actually got your best interest in mind, and then you find out that you don't have it. It's they bought the money into it. They sank maybe 4 or 5 thousand of their own money, and then they feel like they need to get something back.
Yeah.
And our good friend Rick is here. Rick, and of course the lovely Mariah Owen has walked in. Thank you
Oh,
so much,
Mariah.
Mariah. Yay, Mariah! One of my favorite people.
She's
I can't think of you without her and her without you. I don't know what that is. It's just like you guys are like peas in the pod to me.
yeah.
It's like sister. Honestly, the way I watched you, I listened to you on Doctor Evil, Doctor Discord. He's calling himself Discord there. I was listening to you on Doctor Discord show, and then I saw you on the Instagram Live, and but we're gonna get to that. I want to know how you met her, but I want to talk about you a little bit. So now now the good thing is that you stayed in college all this time.
Yeah.
It would have been really easy for you just to drop out.
I was really close. I was really close to dropping out of school, and very close. I had even spoken to my parents about it, and they were not happy, but they also were like, we can't tell you what to do with your life. And it was really close to happening, and I'm really glad that I didn't.
It also tells me one thing too. It tells me you must have been a very good student.
I am a good student.
Yeah.
I work hard. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. I'm very goal oriented. So I like a deadline. I mean, I still like a deadline. Like I definitely applied myself, but I was not great at. I was just talking the other day on this road trip with my friends. I was just telling them about the time that I had to take community college math class because I had was so disinterested and kept thinking I was going to get out of it. And they were like, you're not going to graduate if you don't take this math class. I was like, I am a theater major. What part of theater major don't you understand? I don't need this stuff. And they're like, you take the class, you're not graduating. So I had to go.
Unfortunately, that's part of it. You just can't just take everything you want.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Why I thought I was going to beat the system with that one.
So did you graduate from Chapman?
I did. Yeah. In 2008.
That's not an easy school to graduate from.
Oh, thanks.
No,
it's gotten harder. It's gotten harder. It's gotten more prestigious than it used to be, for sure.
Yeah, it's not an easy place to graduate from. It's it's one of the better colleges down in Southern California on the West Coast for sure. So now you're in college. You're doing the acting thing. Now you come back. You decide I'm gonna go ahead and focus on my degree.
Yeah.
And so now you decide to focus on the acting.
Mm-hmm.
So what was the first lesson you learned from acting? What was the first thing when you walked into class? What was the first thing that you learned that you kept with you today?
Oh man, I really honestly have so many, but one that comes up for me a lot and really informs a lot of the decisions I make is I remember my professor Braddock saying one day, and I wrote it down and I was like, I don't know what this means, but someday I'm going to understand what this means. And I'll bet you it's really wise. He said, please people, one of these days, determine what you're worth. And I think about that all the time if it's something that I don't want to do, or if it's something where I feel like people aren't giving me the kind of respect I want, or I feel like I'm selling myself short, or I start to have scarcity mindset. And I'm like, if I say no to this, then I'm not going to get any more offers, or if I pass on this. And it has not steered me wrong to just go, you know what? If at the end of the day, it doesn't need to be about money. It can just be simply, I know that I'm worth more than this and I'm not going to settle. So I felt that way in acting. I felt that way as a writer. I felt that way as a singer. I felt that way in many ways. So super informative for me. And but I learned a lot. I mean, honestly, the reason I'm a writer today is because of Chapman. The big lesson that I took away, one of the biggest lessons that I took away was I was in screen acting class, and they would make you pull these scenes from these like huge like libraries of scenes that had been shot a million times. Like everybody had done the same scenes over and over and over again. They were super whack. And I was like, I'm not doing this. This scene is whack. It's like from the 80s. I'm not doing it. And my professor, who is a very close mentor of mine, really love him. He said to me, like, you're doing the scene, like you're being a nightmare, just do the damn scene. And I said, no, I refuse. I'm not doing these scenes. He goes, well, if you write something and it doesn't suck, I'll let you shoot that. And I was like, done. I can do that. How hard can that be? Right. So then I started writing my own scenes for class, and I would write scenes for other people, started writing plays, would put those up, started writing short films, would make those. And then it sort of led me to what I really wanted to be doing beyond acting, which was like making the kind of work that I wanted to make, being in the kind of work I wanted to be in, and not having to search through piles of work that I didn't necessarily connect to or that I felt had been done before. And that was like an aha moment for me from JB, that I had stuff to say. I had more to say than some of the material I was being given, and that I could apply some of the skills that I applied to my music, which was speaking on certain emotions or experiences. I could apply that to my acting as well, and be more than just someone who memorizes lines and connects and sort of boards a ship that someone else built. I learned that I could build the ship myself.
So the confidence of your professor really gave you the boost that you needed. I mean, it must have been really, like, especially after what happened with your singing. I mean, because I'm thinking you're coming back and you got a chip on your shoulder. I mean, I can see that happening. I mean, because who wouldn't, right? Who wouldn't have that? You want to become a singer, you wanted to get into it, and then next thing you know, you become, but you didn't come disillusioned.
No.
Having a chip on the shoulder is different from being disillusioned. Because and this just makes you more hungry, makes you more driven when you have a chip. That's how I look at it. Disillusion means you give up. You saw it wasn't what you thought it was, and then you're just not going to do it anymore.
Right.
That's disillusionment. So here you are, you got a chip on your shoulder. Your professor sees that, and I'm sure that he did not turn around and do that for just anybody. You had to stand out, and you had to have the talent to back it. So obviously that must have just been like just a tremendous boost to you.
I don't know if that's true. I mean, maybe I got to ask him. I think that he just knew that I was frustrated in class. I was antsy, and I was argumentative. And I loved him. It was coming from a place of respect and love for him, and a connection. I've always felt connected to JB, and still do. He's been like one of the greatest forces of support in my life and in my whole career. It began then, but it has lasted all these years. But I'm grateful to him for not treating me as though screenwriting was rocket science. That he was just like, then go write one, because you're being a pain in my ass. We won't do any of the scenes, and this is your job as an actor. If you don't like anything, then go figure out how to write it. And that simple push has made all the difference in my life.
What was your first screenwriting project that you made a film out of?
Man, it's so funny because we were like, I'm so embarrassed to even think about some of the stuff that I made back then. So embarrassed. I mean, I have this, I was just remembering this one that we made back in college, and it was called Playerettes. I made it in a class, and it was like girls like hitting on dudes at parties, kind of the way that we see all the movies we see dudes like, going and picking up chicks. It was like the reverse of that. And, I'm like 19 writing about this, like, what do I know? But I remember that film, and then like I think they hit on this guy. He's like this gorgeous guy, and then he keeps saying this like really gross and dumb shit, and then they were like, ew, 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 ew. And so I remember like writing it, and then JB being like, this is funny, why don't you try this? So it was like my first, even that was like my first experience of like notes and like receiving notes, and receiving notes in a really like supportive and positive way that doesn't make you feel like your writing sucks or you suck at your job. Just that they're like yes-anding you. They're continuing to challenge you and show you the possibilities with the foundation that you have built.
I mean, that actually sounds pretty cute.
So embarrassing.
So now you got your confidence. You're ready to rock and roll. You graduate from Chapman.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get an M.F.A. from Chapman?
No, I just got a B.F.A. I was just undergrad.
So now you're out of school. What are you doing with yourself?
I moved straight up to LA. I think I got my apartment like a couple weeks before graduation. And I'm like, great, I did it. Now I'm back at it. Like, I think I took a couple years. I was still recording and I was still doing some stuff, but then I was finally like, I got my agent and a manager. I remember the first year almost, my manager was like, he used to really be awful. He would kind of pit us all against each other. And he said, what are you doing? You don't even have your SAG card. And that's a big deal. That's like having, a membership to the union. And back then it was so hard to get in the union. You either had to be in like a national commercial, you'd had to have a speaking role in like a big movie or a TV show. And the only other way to do it back then was to do extra work. And you had to have 3 days that you were on a SAG voucher, meaning they like bumped you up to like featured. So it had to be 3 days. And so I was on every single set. I'm telling you, every single movie and every single TV show that came through LA. I was like doing it like 5 days a week. I was working my ass off. And I think the beauty of it, I was getting up at like 4 a.m., driving an hour in a bikini in the freaking on the beach in the cold. I mean, poor little Leah at, how old, 21. I was just desperately trying to get the SAG card so that my manager would stop yelling at me. And I ended up getting it, thank God, from Tom Ford. Tom Ford is so particular about everything in his films. I mean, being Tom Ford and this like visionary fashion, icon, he's so particular down to like our nails. And he handpicked everyone. And I wasn't supposed to be on a SAG voucher, but he like picked me up and he was like, I want her to be in this like black leather outfit. And I was like, me? And they're like, yep, yeah, I want her. And then it was only supposed to be for 2 days. And then it rained and they had to have me back because I was so featured on the 3rd day. So I literally got my SAG card thanks to Tom Ford, like after so many months of working my ass off. And then of course they came up with this like new way of becoming SAG. And it was if you created a web series, because the new media was just coming, it was just on the rise. If you create a web series and it is a SAG web series and you are like one of the only people that's not SAG, you can be brought into the union. So what we started doing, and this is another way that I started heavily writing, I started writing web series and creating them and then getting my friends into the union that way. Because then you were just, once you made your web series a SAG web series, then they were just able to be brought into the union. And I was like, wow, I just like busted my ass for a year in a bikini in the freezing cold all day, every day for $60, $70 a day, whatever the rate was, when I could have just made a web series, but it's okay. I figured it out.
Yeah, I mean, I think it now. What is it now? Isn't there like 2 different ways to join the union? Or isn't there like 2 different levels you can join now?
I don't even know anymore. I feel like it changes a lot now with new media. Things have changed so much, and I don't think they want members. I think that sometimes it can be really tough to work with SAG as a member because you're like, they were telling me on Pamela and Ivy on my short, they were like, you cannot do you cannot do rehearsals until this date. And I was like, wait, one more time. I'm the writer and the director of the short. I'm also an actor, but I'm the writer director. You're saying I can't rehearse. They're like, no, you can't rehearse your own lines. I do not look in the mirror and rehearse. It's against the rules. And I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. You realize that a lot of us actors are multi-hyphenates now. A lot of us are making our own material. Like, help us out here.
Wow, that's ancient as hell, isn't it?
It's pretty ancient.
And who would actually tell a director that and the writer that you can't work your own project?
Oh, it's been I think that we're at a transitional period for actors everywhere. You know, a lot of us have figured out it's not now that things are digital, it's not rocket science to make your own material. Every actor that I know, I always tell them, like, you should be making your own stuff. Make your own stuff. Star in your own stuff. It's not what you think it is.
Hard anymore.
It's so intimidating to people if they have never attempted it, and it can be really tough. But you get through one, and you're like, hey, that was pretty rad and pretty rewarding when you see that you built it from the ground up.
Mariah mentions that it's ancient and backwards. Yeah, it is.
She knows.
And Jen's mentioning gotta love SAG. Yeah, I
love SAG. Look at me talking trash on the union.
As a filmmaker, is it safe to say the game changer now in today's filmmaking is the digital camera?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it used to be very expensive, and completely a regular person you could shoot a movie on your iPhone now. You know, you have a camera in your pocket now. We all have cameras. So it is revolutionary that we're living in an age that anybody can be a filmmaker. You don't need to be wealthy. You just need to be determined as hell.
Because I caught that from Robert Rodriguez. I was listening to his commentary on Once Upon a Time in Mexico, and he was talking about how the digital camera, where he figured out, he got the digital camera, where he figured out that he could just go back and just, if he didn't like it, all he had to do is just hit reset.
Yeah,
wasting all that film. Film. And once he realized that, he says, "Oh my God!" It's like the doors opened up to him. It's like the possibilities are endless. And I just feel, honestly, like the digital camera has made filmmaking accessible to everybody.
To everyone.
Doesn't mean everybody is a filmmaker. It just means that you can get a camera and make a film. Doesn't mean you're good at it and you shouldn't be studying. It just means that now you can make it, for a budget. You don't have to worry about sitting there going like, I got to buy film that's going to cost, pretty much everything I already have in the bank. Now the digital, you don't have to worry about that.
I mean, I see some of these even like TikTok movies my friends will send me, my sister will send me, and I'm like amazed by the talent, like blown away. It doesn't need to look. I mean, you can get fancy cameras and really impressive cinematographers. Like those people all exist. Those things all exist, but you can't like buy a storytelling, a mind the way that some of these people, they've got it, So I do think it's so inspiring to be able to see what people can do with their phones in a matter of seconds, and the way that you can laugh and be moved by it. I'm such a proponent of telling everyone it's not rocket science. It's not rocket science. Because I do think that there can be some filmmakers can be a little bit high on their horses, a little elitist about it. And I think that's what intimidated me about not wanting to necessarily write, not feeling that I had the capability or the skills to direct. I felt like the worst imposter syndrome. And I think the only way you learn is really by doing it, right? You got to do it. And everybody is like, nope, only for us. It's only for us white guys. Then it starts to feel like you can't get into the club. You shouldn't believe it.
I'm so glad that's slowly being eroded away.
Mm-hmm.
I love the fact that there's people from all over making films. Anybody other than white males.
Yeah.
That's why I guess maybe that's really why I'm just not really enamored. I've never really been like everybody mentions like Martin Scorsese. And it's like, I like it, Martin Scorsese, but Is he my idea of a consummate director? No, no, never have been. Like I like Spielberg, I like him a lot. Is
Mhm.
he something I just look up and say that's the consummate? No, because I've seen so many. I mean, I've seen so many different directors on so many different levels, like Robert Rodriguez. I absolutely love Robert Rodriguez, the way he
Yeah.
makes films.
Yeah.
Um, I mentioned that Ashleen Clark. I love the way how she makes her movies.
Mhm.
Um, you know, um, let's go back to your acting. Now, your first role, according to your resume here, you
God.
got a short film called "Go Fish."
I don't. Oh, that was my friend. I do remember that. That was actually. I'm not totally embarrassed about that. Believe it or not, that was
I
the
don't think you
film
should.
that got my friend into the directing program at Chapman. He was there as an editor, I believe, and he wanted to transfer into directing, but you can't transfer. You have to get into the directing school, and so he had to make a film. And I started it with my friend Shane, who I don't know if he's still in here, but he was in here for a sec. And we started it, and it was cute. Go Dylan. Yeah. So that was kind of cool.
Uh, so I mean, did you? Now you're acting. Now you're starting. What was the audition like for you when you started out? Was it easy for you? Was it difficult for you?
Scary. It was so scary because I remember being at Chapman, and we're in Orange County, right? And thinking, and then, oh yeah, remembering that you'd be competing for thesis films, and then you'd be like, the LA actors are here. Like the LA actors would be coming to audition, and you'd be like, well, how are we as students going to get these films if they've got like professional LA actors? So that was really intimidating to suddenly be in the pond, the tiniest fish in this huge pond, and to feel I remember thinking, well, I've got my degree and I like know how to do this, and I know how to do Meisner and Shakespeare, and like I've got this. And then you're like in an audition with like a famous person, and you're like, I was watching her movies when I was young, like how is this ever going to happen? And really intimidating. But I remember having a lot of luck in that first year. I booked a few feature films right off the bat, and maybe it's beginner's luck, maybe it's just that I looked so young still, I don't know. But that was really helpful to me. And actually the first feature film that I booked, it was called I Crime. It ended up turning into this huge family where to this day, a few of those people are like my dearest friends. And I thought, wow, making movies is like so fun. Everybody becomes your like best friend. No, that's not
No.
typical. That's like never happened since. I mean, I've had a lot of great movie experiences, but nothing like, and people got married from it, and people just such amazing people that I met on that film. And I'm like I feel like I believe in God because of the fact that he put me in that movie right off the bat so that I could have friends immediately.
Yeah, that's really something that's it always. I remember talking to an actress a long time ago, and I asked her one of the questions. I asked her, like, after a movie's over, do you guys all like, do you guys all give each other's phone numbers? So do you guys all stay in touch? Are you still friends? And she said that normally no. It's just like once the project's over with, because you go back and watch the movies, right? Like you watch the special features, you hear this all the time. We were like a family on the set.
Yeah,
And I'm just thinking,
yeah,
so did you stay
that's
friends after the set? Or,
right.
or the next movie that we see this person in is like, I just ran across Joe. I hadn't seen Joe in about 3 years since we did that other project.
Mm-hmm.
One where you guys were all family.
Right. Right. Yeah, no, that's like so the LA thing, right? It's like we're all family and then we never talk again. But I think it's really true because it's like summer camp. I mean, sometimes you're shooting on location and you don't know anybody else in the city. So you all hang out together every night and like go drink or like go hang out. Specifically, like when I've shot in like New Orleans or Atlanta, I feel like we have so much fun. You get closer. It can be a little bit harder in LA because everybody goes home to their friends and to their families and their lives. But yeah, I mean, it really is luck of the draw. You never know what the chemistry is going to be of a cast. And I just got so lucky that maybe the most epic chemistry happened on my very first feature.
Um, I want to talk to you a little bit about M.F.A, Master of Fine Arts.
Sure, yeah.
So tell us, talk us about how where'd you come up with the idea at? And I mean, it's a pretty, it's a rough, it's a strong film.
Thank you. I think that I came up with the concept because I kept seeing all of these girls around the country, around the world, being assaulted and then speaking out, and then the campuses and the administrations just completely mishandling it, sweeping it under the rug, demonizing the girls getting bullied, sometimes killing themselves. I mean, so like I just felt like it was on repeat, like on loop. A new girl, a new city, a new administration, a new girl, a new city. And I think I was just really full of rage. And the idea came to me. And I remember at the time, my day job was I did makeup for Chanel. Like I would travel to different Chanel counters and do makeup throughout Southern California. And I remember standing around with a bunch of other girls from the counter and having this idea and saying, hey, because this is something I do a lot. If I come up with an idea, I'll like pitch it to people that are not in the business. And I can always tell if their eyes like light up and they're like interested that it's a good concept. And if they're kind of like glazed over, they're like, oh yeah, that sounds great. Then I'm like, that ain't it. And so I remember pitching these girls and immediately they were like, and then what happens? So she starts murdering the rape. Okay, but, and then is it part of her art? Or like, they had so many questions and they were so, their eyes were so lit up. And I thought, yeah, I think I have something here. Cause I come up with a million ideas a day. I write all of them down. I know better now. Now I write even my shittiest, worst ideas. I got a little notes section in my phone where I write everything down. But back then, I think I was still earlier on in my screenwriting. It was only the second feature film I ever wrote, M.F.A. And so I felt very confident. I do remember one big producer saying to my boyfriend at the time, just tell her that she needs to make it now. He was like, now is the time. It was a big, big, big producer. He's like, just tell her she needs to make it now. And I don't know what he knew, but he knew that a movement was coming. A reckoning was coming because M.F.A. ended up being released the week of the Weinstein scandal, same week, which is crazy. It actually we shot it in 2016, but it wasn't released until 2017. So I felt like I got those bits of confidence through the process, but I also just kind of had blinders. I was like full speed ahead. As soon as I said, this is my first feature film, this is it, I just was like writing. I would wake up really early in the morning to go to the coffee shop and like clock in so that I could, get it done within a manner of time that I could start shooting it as quickly as possible.
How many times did you have to rewrite it?
I did do a lot of rewrites because I remember specifically, again, going back to JB, the professor that was my mentor at Chapman, I gave him my first draft. And I remember exactly what he said to me. And this is an example of a great note, right? Notes can be really hard to receive, especially for me, because I can get very defensive. But this was a perfect note. He said, right now, the version that I wrote originally was so dark. There was like no levity. It was very, very heavy. And John said to me, this is great. I love it. Like the passion is there. You're doing it. He goes, but what if it was like Django Unchained? And when she's killing these guys, it feels good. And there's one-liners and there's fun. And we can start having some fun with these kills. And we're rooting her on. It's a little bit more of like a popcorn movie. And I thought, ooh, okay, yeah, that's awesome. So then I started every draft, I think had more of that color. She started to come more alive. And sort of that first act is pretty tough, right? But that was like an amazing note because it didn't make me feel like my script sucked. it didn't make, and I think I needed to get that first draft out, that first really angry draft. And I think through several more drafts, it started to have a little bit more of that color.
Let me step out for a second. My brother called in, and when he does, it knocks down my sound. So
Oh, no, you're
right. I'll be right back.
okay.
All right. Yeah, whenever I get a phone, hello?
Hi, sorry.
Oh, it's okay. No. Whenever I get a phone call, for some reason it knocks my sound out off of my phone. I lose my sound.
Oh, no worries.
So you were saying how you're rewriting the M.F.A. to make it more of more of a little bit more lighter.
Yeah. Like trying to find some humor in it, and not just like have everyone crying and slitting their wrists by the end. Because then nobody wants to rewatch. I'll be honest, I don't rewatch M.F.A. I understand if there, people don't want to rewatch it. It's super heavy. It's hard to watch, but also like I love when people have told me, DM'd me or whatever, and told me how cathartic it was or empowering and how good certain moments felt. Because that was literally my first note from JB being like, well, it's pretty heavy. Let's like pull back a little bit and have some fun here.
Those movies like that, it's like that though, Leah. It's like there's so many great movies that you think about. Like I just found a copy of this movie yesterday. I found a copy of Irreversible by Gaspar Noé.
Yep.
That movie is brilliant. It's a brilliant movie.
Yeah.
But it's one of those movies that you watch like once every other year.
Right.
It's so freaking it's rough to watch. It's a good movie. It's well acted, but it is really rough to watch. And it's sort of funny when people say, yeah, it's a really good, like I'm saying now, it's a great movie, but it's something you just don't throw on every Friday night.
Totally. It's like Schindler's List. Love Schindler's List. Don't need to watch it every year.
No.
Yeah. But grateful that it exists. So glad it exists.
Exactly. So how was it like? What was it like to write the script and then act in as well? Did you, as a screenwriter and an actress, was it important that people stayed with your words that you wrote, or did anybody ever try to improvise, and how did you react to that?
I love when a great actor improvises and I get all the credit as a writer. I'm like, yeah, give me that gold, give me that brilliance, because my name's on. No, I'm kidding. But I will say, like, I tell all the actors, like, the words, just, take it. No, it's yours. I don't, maybe because I am an actor, I don't feel precious towards what's in the script. But yeah, there are certain scenes that have a lot of info, and that can be tough. But for me, like, it's so a part of my process to like build the world and then enter the world. And that's what can be really tough, is like now having a career that's so heavily in writing that sometimes it can be really tough to have a discussion about whether or not I'm going to be in the film, even though my entire career has always been writing the thing and then starring in the thing, writing the thing, starring in the thing. I've always done that. So it's been such a weird like transition into being like a writer. She's the writer, because I'm like, I've always worn all the hats, and M.F.A. is a perfect example of it being torturous and difficult and heart-wrenching and painful. And I was bleeding out. Mariah will talk more about it when she's on the show, but it was really tough on me. I think the subject matter was tough on me. That was triggering enough. I think it was really hard because it really is a marathon when you're doing a movie. I mean, I had done I think I had done a web series that was like an hour long, you know, all together. But that was, even that was, I think, only 7 shoot dates. I mean, we had on M.F.A, I believe, 24 shoot dates. So it just felt like there was no end. And I every single day thought we were going to get shut down. Every single day I was like, I fucked this up. The cops are here. You know, we got an email from SAG that they're shutting us down. I mean, it was like every single day there were fires. And I just felt that my movie was my child and my baby, and it was all that I had. I felt so like deeply attached to it in a way that I do not ever recommend to anyone. Like, I'm like, everybody else, like, do not do what I did. But I actually didn't really shoot until the end. Like, most of my footage, my days of acting, we designed it this way somewhat, that I could kind of take off my producer hat. And that, like, last week I was heavily acting, and my other producers really like held down the fort. And it was like the best. It was the best. Finally getting to just act felt like the biggest luxury, because most days, you know, I had like my baseball hat on and I'm running around and I'm like begging certain crew members to not fight each other. And we ordered the wrong amount of food and we forgot that we had 50 extras today. I mean, it was like every single day was hell. That's why I'm gonna keep it real.
Yeah, 24 shoot days. That's a pretty good chunk of time.
Yeah.
I know a lot of directors I've talked to. They'll talk about, you know, I shot the film in 11 days. I shot it in 10 days. I'm just sitting there going like, how the hell are you shooting a feature length film?
They're amazing. Probably one location or a couple locations, handful of actors, just much smarter than me. Far more. They've thought it through far longer than I did. Clearly, it was a mess.
Yeah, I think I mean, I'm, you know, it's just like, I'm still amazed though. You know, still amazes that it's still, you know, they say, well, I did it in 10 days. It still amazes me. And I still try to wrap my brain around, like, how can you make a good movie in just 10 days? I mean, I'm one of those that, like, 24 days, that sounds about right, you know, because then you can go back and do pickups and reshoots and what have you.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was still not enough time. We still could have used an extra week or two. I mean, we're running from location to location. It was, you never have enough time. You never have enough money. I've even heard that on the big movies, they're like that. They could have used more time. I guess we could all use more time. But yeah, I always like try to get everybody that wants to do a feature film. I always try to explain to them. They're like, oh, I did 2 short films. I'm like, trust me, this is not the same thing.
No,
2 short films. It's a beast.
But do you agree with that I feel directors should do short films before they do any? Yeah. Okay.
More the better. I mean, also, I think short films are an art form. You know, I think that they, especially when I would do festivals, you definitely get this different level of respect when you're a feature director or a feature filmmaker at a festival than a short filmmaker. And there is a little bit of this hierarchy. But I have like so much respect for short films. I'll probably always do short films. I love them. And it's an amazing space because I get so much more control. These days, like, I'm a big asshole because I'm just like, I don't take notes on my short film. I'll take a few notes. I'll talk to the director. But like most times I'm like, if it's this time, it's one idea, you know, it's one idea, and hopefully it's well executed. Hopefully it's well acted, and hopefully it's like a little bite of a great experience. But it's a really particular art form, and I really do love it. And I love short filmmakers because they're usually self-financed. They're usually they've waited and asked all their friends to be in it. Their mom is in it. Their dad is doing crafty. Like, talk about a family affair. A short film is unlike anything else.
When you went back to M.F.A, I mean, you were shooting basically it's a pretty violent movie. You know, a rape victim, vigilante. Do you think having an all-women crew doing that film, do you think that it made it a little bit more, hopefully made more people aware of situations like that? I mean, most of the time we get I mean, it's not exploitative. Like whenever I see a male do a film where they showing like not necessarily irreversible per se, because it's a different time when that was made. But I'm talking about now in today's world. It seems like there's a lot of films out there being made by males that for some reason they just feel like they need to write in a rape scene, and
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just like, why? What's the point? Is that a crutch or is that a message being sent, in your opinion?
Patrick, that's such a, intelligent, self-aware, really wise observation. I don't even think I really understood that until a lot further into my research before making M.F.A. that a lot of, I don't think it's just men. I think a lot of writers do resort to some of this violence towards women because it's what we saw, and it gets under our skin. Somebody told me that the reason that horror films always star like a young woman is because young women are the most vulnerable. We're going to be the most protective and scared for her, as opposed to a big guy, a big dude's not going to be the star of a horror film. We're not as scared for him. And so I think something like rape, it really is, we understand it's so violating, but also I don't know that men can understand the way that a woman can understand it. And so I hope that through this new sort of influx of films and the Me Too movement and Time's Up, that we have, as a society, hopefully a deeper understanding that rape is like a death. It's more than just a violent act, like a punch in the face or a stab wound. It affects who you are as a human being. It can rewire who you are as a human being and make it hard for you to even look at your own body because it feels that your body was taken from you. And speaking to so many survivors from the making of M.F.A, I feel like I have learned that those scars don't heal, and I hope that we, moving forward in cinema, have a little bit of respect if we're going to add a rape to the film or write that scene or shoot that scene, that there is a reverence when we handle it, because it's not just a throwaway, interchangeable, violent act. It's not for women.
Especially writing from a woman's point of view, to me, it's like, it seems to me it's more poignant, it's more moving, because, you're writing from a point of strength. You talk to other women, and believe me, women are going to talk to you far more than they would talk to me about it. Even if I was sitting there going like, I'm looking for research. No woman's going to want to talk to a male about that, but they would open up to you. And so did you talk to different women before you did I help influence your screenplay?
Yeah, I did. And I read a lot, and a big thing, a really formative thing, was reading Reddit boards and reading what specifically one girl had said, that I was attacked and this is what happened to me. And I just remember seeing all of these Reddit users being like, don't say anything. It's okay. You're okay. Trust me. I spoke out and I was bullied. I tried to kill myself. I was more traumatized by the way people treated me in the court proceedings than by the actual rape itself. And I remember being horrified that I was like, you're giving her the worst advice. She should be speaking out and she should take care of this rapist and we got to get him behind bars and all this. And the more that I educated myself and saw how broken the system was, I was like, how can anybody ever tell somebody how to make one of the hugest decisions in their lives? And if the system was just and the system was working, then yes, in a perfect world, we would all report our rapes and we would all fight to the finish. But I have so much respect for everyone that is dealing with it. And I don't know how I can ever be in a position to tell someone that they are wrong for not reporting their rape. I think it is traumatic to come out and have to point a finger and have to be called a liar in many cases and have him walk free in many cases, get a slap on the wrist, and he knows where you live. I mean, it's so awful, some of the stories and things that have happened to people I know, that I still, even just talking about it, I get angry again. I feel like I'm grateful that I made my movie and I'm proud of my movie, but it's at the end of the day, it's just a movie. And I hope that it offers some catharsis to some people, but I do think it, you know, I'm not changing the world here, and that can be frustrating.
You know what though, but if you change the world for one person, it's worth it. It really is. It sounds like a cliche, and believe me, everybody that knows me knows I hate cliches. I hate the platitudes. But in this case, I really do believe that.
Yeah.
I do believe that if your movie does come out and it does change the life for one person, then it's been all worth it.
Well, that's nice sentiment.
Do you think the culture is changing for women filmmakers? I mean, it seems like there's more and more really good filmmakers coming out, and you know, good, very strong women filmmakers coming out. And do you feel that's changed? It's going to continue to change?
I do. I feel a lot of opportunity. I feel a lot of support. I think it's an exciting time. We have far, far to go. There's lots more to do, but I do feel that I have doors that are open for me that have never been open before. And I'm grateful to be a female filmmaker in 2021.
I want to go back to something a little lighter because, you know, we're both fanboys. So when did you start reading comic books? How old were you when you started reading comic books, or when you got into and obviously you did read comic books. So when did you get into the superheroes?
I actually grew up around the corner from a comic book store in San Francisco. And so me and my brother would walk there, and he was really into comic books. And I just wanted to be like my brother. So I would just go with him. I talked a little bit about this in a couple interviews, but I would go with him, and I would want to get a comic book that was for me. And so I would be like looking for pink everywhere. I'd be like, where's the girls section? Where's the girl comic books? And I could never find it. And so it was all dudes. And then my brother, and I remember finding Poison Ivy, and I remember thinking, oh, she's for me. She's like the girl comic books. And then I was like, oh, she's evil? Wait, maybe she's not evil. Because if she's for me, then, you know, I'm not evil. And so I think that was sort of the love for Poison Ivy and for Catwoman, that even though they're considered, you know, super villains, I felt that at the comic book store, that was the section I went to. So I was young. I mean, I can barely even remember that time of my life when we lived around the street from the comic book store. I think I was like eight. I remember my brother being really into Spawn. He was like the cool one. Spawn, and we would trade cards. They had these like holographic, like 3D cards.
Well, wait a minute. If you got into Spawn, did you read Spawn? Because McFarlane came up with actually Neil Gaiman came up with the Angela.
Neil Gaiman, do you know that he has children's books he writes?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. My brother was just reading a bedtime story to his daughter, and we were all sitting in the little nursery, and he pulled out a book, and it was written by Neil Gaiman, and I was like, what? He does everything. He's so prolific.
I love Neil Gaiman's work. He's extraordinary. Heartbroken that his marriage to Amanda Palmer didn't work out. She definitely was in love with that man for sure. And, I don't know what happened. I just know that they didn't work out, but really heartbroken for them. But I love Neil Gaiman, and he created the character of Angela in Spawn. And if anybody's ever read Spawn, Angela, actually, he had to sue Todd McFarlane to get control of the character, and then he turned out and he gave the character to Marvel, and they just retconned her, and she's no longer as fun as she was when she was in Spawn.
Oh wow!
Yeah, bummer. But no, there was a super strong female character that McFarlane wrote for Aunt Angela. She was an angel.
I gotta check it out. Oh, I love when people will sometimes DM me cool female characters, and I gotta like, I really want to explore a little bit more because I don't feel like I'm super well versed in a lot of the characters that I think I might really love.
Yeah, it's like that a lot. That it is. I mean, that's what I mean. Honestly, I mean, even Poison Ivy. I mean, Poison Ivy really never got her like public eye. Like people knew about her in the comic books, but as far as her on the, as far as terms of Hollywood, unfortunately, her first introduction was done in that Batman and Robin movie where Uma Thurman just absolutely just like, oh Lord have mercy.
We love it. Me and Mariah love Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy.
That was not, maybe it wasn't her fault. I mean, that's that's Joel Schumacher because he's playing it broad and but I mean, she was hamming it. I mean,
it's a little heavy, but that's the magic of it, right? The magic. How many different times have we had Superman and Batman done, and in all different types of ways by all different types of filmmakers? I feel like that's the beauty of hopefully, the same thing for the female characters.
Yeah, it's just that those characters will always get a second, third, and fifth chance.
Right.
Poison Ivy comes out there and people see that and they're going like, Poison Ivy,
yeah.
They're like, huh? And and I don't think that's really a fair representation because Poison Ivy is a very good character, is a very interesting character, and and I loved what you did with her and Pamela and Ivy. So tell us about. I mean, your love for her has run a long time before you did Pamela and Ivy. When did you start getting into cosplay?
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. I still don't even know totally if that's like, am I considered a cosplayer? Am I considered one?
I mean, I think you definitely could dress up with the costume and walk inside any convention,
right?
And just absolutely rule it.
People have sent me some pictures of them as Poison Ivy, and I'm so impressed with some people's costumes. They're just like incredible. I mean, I guess it's just really playing dress up, right? And we all love to play dress up. I'm an actress. I love to play dress up. So I guess I am. I'm just shy in that I have my suit. I kept the suit and I love it. And it's in like a what is that called? Like a fancy bag. And it's in my closet. And sometimes I look at it and I get really embarrassed and I have to look away. Like, I don't know what I have the content.
Oh, you should not be embarrassed at all. That was a badass movie. I just absolutely love that. That's what enabled me. Just like, I got to talk to him. I got to talk to Mariah and Leah. I'm just totally. I loved it because as a fan of the character. I mean, I like how she's portrayed in the DC because they have her in animation. They have her a lot of times teamed up with Harley Quinn.
Yeah,
and they're very cute all together. They they're yin and yang, and it's very cute. But I sort of like the idea of Poison Ivy being on her own too, because she's a very formidable opponent. It's not just she's not just a pretty face. She's got skills.
Yeah,
and she's very intelligent.
Very intelligent. Yeah.
So I like the way how you wrote her, but where did you get the idea to actually write her origin as a it comes across more as a superhero origin than it does a supervillain origin.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you come up with that idea? What made you do that take on her?
I knew that I had to start in her childhood because I feel like so much of our trauma is rooted to our childhood. So I always knew that I wanted to start with her as a little girl and hopefully have it be a little bit of a twist and the pieces falling into place. And you're like, And then also I felt like I had to really reverse and engineer a rage towards Gotham, towards, the world. I felt like we had to really build in that connection to plant life. Why would she become a botanist? And I think the kidnapping, it's such a specific life experience that so few people actually understand. And I remember I actually had a conversation on a different project about this idea. And he thought that what I was saying, the filmmaker I was talking to, he thought that what I was saying was that she was kidnapped. And then I was like, oh no, but that's a really cool idea. And so I kind of always had that as like this concept, and I didn't know what I was going to do with it, but just this idea that we see this girl and she is sort of having this complex relationship with her, who we think is her father. And then the reveal, we think this abusive father, the reveal is that that's not her father. I always had that kind of concept in the back of my mind, in my little vault. And then I knew that I wanted Ivy to have a really visceral experience with a plant, as though she couldn't trust humans. She trusted her plant, and she felt connected to plants in ways that she couldn't connect with another human being. And so I don't know. To be honest, it's so hard sometimes to track my own origin of the project, because I feel like sometimes it comes to me in my sleep and then I wake up with it, or sometimes it falls in, I'm missing something and then I realize, you know what, it needs to be a musical, and all these like sort of little aspects of it have to sort of move around in my brain a little bit. But I remember coming up with it and pitching Mariah, and Mariah was just like on me. She's like, when are we doing it? 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 And I was like, well, how are we going to do this? How are we going to pull an action with VFX? I mean, this isn't in our wheelhouse. And she's like, maybe it is. Maybe it is totally our wheelhouse. And then, I wrote it, and true to form, Mariah is just, here we
Well,
go.
I'm hoping you go back and rewrite. If you go back to writing another origin story, could you do Mockingbird from the Marvel books, and then put Mariah in there as Mockingbird?
Oh my God, Mariah needs to
be Mockingbird.
Bring this up to her, and we're gonna look into it just for you.
Mockingbird's one of my favorite characters. They had her on the old Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show, but that was not Mockingbird. If you go back to the comics, her the character is so badass, and it's a lot of fun. I really like the fact that you got Eric Roberts to come in to do the movie too. That was pretty impressive.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, he is pretty impressive. He's amazing. I mean, he's just such a pro. He's done a bazillion trillion movies. He knows what's up. Nobody knows a set like Eric Roberts. So I was just really grateful that he didn't, being, a newer director myself, that he was, very respectful and cool and down to play and down to try some things, and also working with the child, which is, can be trying. They have a different schedule they need to go, and they just worked well, like amazing. The other RAs.
Your child actress was amazing.
She really is. She's
your
such
child. The young lady who played young Pamela, she was amazing. The scene where she's in the cellar and she has that little plant as her one friend. Mm-hmm. That's brilliant. That's a brilliant piece of filmmaking. It's very moving. That was like, wow, that was deep. It was really deep. I was like, wow, I haven't seen anything like that before. And I thought that was a really nice touch to your story, and she played very well with it. I'm sure when I watched that movie, when I was watching it, I'm going like, I bet you every time that they yelled cut, I bet Eric Roberts was was over there talking to that little girl and asking her how she was doing and everything else, because he is intense in this movie.
Yep, he
is really intense. Eric Roberts. He never phoned in a performance, and he was really intense. I mean, he's yelling, and I'm going like, man, so was that really what happened after he yells cut? That was he all over the little girl and letting her know that, we're just having fun? And
what's so interesting is that scene that's by the door when he finds the chocolate on her jacket and he goes, "What did I say to you?" And he yells and she kind of flinches. That was real. That was the first time that we had shot it, and none of us knew he was going to yell that in her face. And so her kind of like, she didn't break. She's such a pro. She didn't break. She was in it, but you can kind of just see her like back slowly away. And I had more coverage of that scene, but I kept it in, I think mostly just in that close up of her face, because I like loved how kind of she started to kind of shrink, and after that take, he was like, "Are you okay? I'm sorry, I yelled and I should have warned you." But no. And she was like, "No, I got it. I love it. I'm great. Let's keep going. Let's keep rolling." Like, she knew it was. She's a pro.
What's it like working with a young cast with children as a director? I mean, what's it like, or writing for a child? What's it write as? Is it hard to? Is that the hardest character to write for as a child?
It's the best. I love working with kids. I love kids, and I've only directed 2 films, and both of them were starring kids, which is interesting to me. I guess I never really thought of it that way. I always write kids a little bit more adult. I think the kids are smarter than we think they are. I know I remember myself and what was going on in my head when I was young, and that it's not the way that I think most people write kids. They write kids as being quite, unaware sometimes, and kids are super, super duper aware of a lot of things. They're picking up on all kinds of energies. I love working with kids. Kids are just down to play. Kids are game, especially kids that are actors. They know that they're coming here to try things, and that the more that they try, the more fun it becomes. And I guess I will say it can be tough logistically, because they have to have an onset tutor. They have to go to school for a few minutes every, hour or so. You want to make sure they're not tired, and that they're feeling good, and that they feel supported and they feel safe. And so I think there's a new layer of stress, with kids on set. But I think as far as the creativity, it's really easy with kids. It's so much fun.
As an actress, what roles do you like playing the best, Leah? I mean, for yourself as an actress, what do you like playing the best? Do you like playing the action hero, or because you're really good at comedy too. Holy cow! I loved you in the Turkey Bowl. You were so sassy. Holy crap! You were sassy as hell in that movie.
Oh man, thanks. What do I like playing? I just all of it. Anything that's well written. I like playing roles that are well written. The full spectrum of stuff that's well written is what I love. And I guess I got tired of playing dumb girls. I've played a good amount of girls that didn't feel like they had a lot going on up there, and that gets very old. So I try not to write too much of that. And I definitely like to play anything with that has a soul in there, that's got some real life authenticity. I try to add that, but that can come in all shapes and forms and genres. And I just love movies. I love making movies.
Gosh, our time is really rapidly flying by, but I want to open up the chat for them to be able to ask you some questions.
We might have tired everyone out. We've been talking for so long.
There's a lot of people stayed with us, and we're still pretty strong. So now to the chat. Now you're free to ask some questions of our guest, Leah McKendrick. Please feel free to drop them. We still have Mariah still here. I gotta tell you, I just love you two guys. I really do. I really do.
She's really the best.
She is. I think Mariah is. I can't wait now. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun talking to her. Let's see. Mariah says it's been amazing. Well, thank you for showing up and making it amazing, Mariah.
Aww.
Someone says that you're the biggest Halloween fan.
I'm the biggest Halloween fan. I love it so much.
Now, is that the date or is that the movie?
I love the movie, but the season, I'm just so huge on the season. I love pumpkin carving. I love scary movies. I love trick-or-treaters. Love trick-or-treaters. I love decorating. I love fall. Oh man, I'm really excited. I love haunted houses. It's going to be a really good one this year.
I think so too. We have what we call the spooktacular. Our friend Hobbs, who might be in the chat still, he is known as the Pumpkin King. And October he takes over, and he does what he calls the spooktacular, and he has different prizes and costumes and musicals and all the other stuff.
That's awesome. I love that. I want to be the Pumpkin Queen.
I will ask him. I'm sure he has no problem with that. So we do have some questions starting to come in. And the first one is from Mariah. And it says, what is one thing you do every day to help stay focused? And one thing you do to stay inspired?
What do I do to stay focused? Excellent question.
Especially during the pandemic.
Yeah, I try to, honestly, I try to hype myself up like the night before. I try to like look at my schedule and I try to almost talk to myself like I'm a kid, where I'm like, all you have to do is the one meeting at 2 p.m. and then you can watch a movie and you can do this. Like I try to like talk myself through it so that I know exactly what I'm trying to achieve the next day. But I'm also like not super hard on myself lately because I am struggling from burnout, like big time. I think from the pandemic, from working pretty nonstop the past couple of years, I'm really struggling from just needing a vacation pretty bad. And so staying inspired is really kind of my North Star right now, more so than staying focused, because I think I naturally comes to me pretty good. But staying inspired, I think that I do what my mom tells me to do, which is I do what feels good. If today it feels good to just watch reality TV and eat ice cream, then I let myself do that. And because sometimes being inspired has so much to do with just being healthy and taking care of yourself. But I love to see other people's work. Like other people inspire me. Listening to Lana Del Rey inspires me. Watching new movies that are coming out inspires me. Even if it's not like the most incredible movie that everybody loved, like I will usually be inspired by some aspect of somebody's work. I'm inspired by all of the other filmmakers in this town and beyond. Like I just love movies. I love music. Like I'm a huge fangirl. I'm a consumer of pop culture. So I just love to absorb everything that's out there. And I read a lot. I read a lot of, not like books, my friends would laugh at me, but I read a lot of poetry and I read a lot of, I love magazines. So I read a lot of articles and op-eds and yeah, just opinions, other people's opinions. I'm very big on like absorbing for character work.
Go ahead and drop some questions. I think people are trying to figure out what to ask you. Yeah, they're going like, well, we got a stopper. Okay. Zach writes, favorite Tai Chi move.
He's trolling me. That's one of my best friends. We went to college together and we would have to take Tai Chi for acting, for theater. And we take like so many semesters of it. And my brain doesn't like work. You have to go like so slow and like so zen. And I was so bad at it. And Zach was so good at it. I don't know why Zach would always like rehearse with me when I'm like the worst at it. And he was so good at it. But I remember we would have to do half speed and I'd be screwing it up. And he went, half speed does not mean suck ass at Tai Chi. That was our line for so long. Half speed does not mean suck ass at Tai Chi. Well, I'm not the best at it, so I don't even remember any of the moves. I'm sorry, Zach.
Mariah comes back with, is there a genre you want to work in that you haven't yet? Yeah, that's a good question. I'm wondering if have you done a straight horror film yet? I mean, M.F.A. definitely is. I would consider M.F.A. has several horror elements to it.
Sure, it's true. I would love to do, just as a writer and a director, a straight horror film. Like that would be so much fun for me. I will say it's not as easy as you would think. Like you kind of, because I want to do a meaningful one. I don't want it to be a throwaway, you know. I want it to if I'm going to do a horror film, like I want it to be kind of rad. I want people to talk about it. So I have written a couple. I hope that they pull through. I'll let you know. But yeah, a straight horror film. And then I could go to all the horror festivals and watch all the horror movies. It'd be so much fun.
Yes. How much do you do your own casting on your projects when you direct? I mean, I know you said you've only directed two, but as a screenwriter or an actress, do you have any input? I mean, as a screenwriter, do you have any input on who gets cast? Or better yet, I asked this question yesterday to someone who was screenwriting. Do you write your do you write your screenplays with specific people in mind playing the parts?
Yeah, I always have specific people in mind because that just helps me envision them. Like I'll be like, this is Sandra Bullock, this is Mark Wahlberg, always, because it helps me. Do I have a say in the casting? I have a vote, depending on which hats I wear. As a director, yeah, I have a lot of say. As a producer, I have a lot of say. As just a writer, I have a vote. But I have casting directors that I work with, Arlie Day, Mayank, and they bring me talented people, and depending on what role I'm playing in it, but always, even it's a collaborative process, right? Like for Pamela and Ivy, me and Mariah needed to agree on everyone, and it wasn't difficult. Talent is talent. When you want somebody, you're like, there she is. We found her. There she is. And so it always differs. But with some of my bigger movies that are in the works, I have a vote, but it's really going to be up to, we have a studio, we've got lots of producers, we've got a director, we've got cast. I mean, it's a much bigger circus when it's a big studio film.
Do you feel studios these days, they interfere too much? I feel they hurt the movies when they interfere. It's like, to me, it's like, they hire you to direct. If they hired you to direct the movie, to me, it's like, look, if you have enough faith that you hired her, then why not step the hell out of the way and let her do what she needs to do without coming to her and sending her notes or sending the rep down there and saying, okay, so what are you doing? What are what can we do this? Can we do this? Would you consider doing this? I've seen some really fine directors, movies get totally derailed from studio interference. Is this
Right.
a trend that needs to go away, or is it decreasing, or is it do you feel like it's increasing?
Honestly, I have not directed a big studio film, so I don't know from the inside. I mean, I'm seeing the process as a writer on a couple projects, and I think that it depends on the studio. I think it really does. But I think that everybody's just trying to make a good movie. So nobody's like trying to derail the train. Everyone's trying to get the train to town. And I think what can be really hard is when there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen, and like anything, right? To get everybody to decide on something. And I think that, film, just like anything else, is an art form. And sometimes you got to take some risks and you got to try some shit so that it needs to come from an authentic place. And the process of making a studio film is just inherently kind of, collaborative, but yet sort of affected. But I will say, like I'm working on the prequel, the Grease prequel right now, which is a big commercial film. And Brett, my director, works really hard, and he really does fight for what he believes in, and he will fight to the finish for who he wants and what he believes in. And I think for that reason, people trust him. I trust him. I think that he's meant to do this because he's not going to just take everyone's opinions. They tell me with writing, if you take everyone's opinion and you take everybody's note, you're an idiot. If you take no one's note, you're an idiot. It's up to you to figure out which notes and whose ideas you're going to take in, and then you're going to release. But yeah, it's tough, man, when you have a studio, but the studio has money on the line. They have a lot of audiences throughout the world to speak to, and their heart is in the right place. I can speak for Paramount. Their heart is in the right place. And so, we're all just hoping for the best and fighting for what we believe in. But yeah, I've never been a part of one of those big Marvel movies or anything. And I'm sure that's so difficult with so much money on the line and so many people in charge. It must be really tough.
We have time for one more question. We'll take it from Baby Clark. You are involved in a lot of film projects. Do you have any plans to do? Do you have plans to do more TV? Yeah, I think isn't it Grease? Isn't that going to be a TV project?
No, I'm doing the movie. I'm doing the prequel, the Grease prequel, which is the movie Summer Lovin'. There is a prequel TV show in the works about the Pink Ladies, but that's not the project I'm on.
Okay.
TV is a tougher one for me because, as one of my mentors told me, like movies are dating and TV is marriage. I don't know that I'm ready to get married. I do have one in the works. We got some good news recently. I can't talk too much about it, but I will say that it would be my love to work on and to be married to, and I'm praying for it. But I will say it kind of rips your soul out a little bit to be a part of a TV project and to develop it for so many years and fight for it. It would be too hard for me to develop too much TV and just kind of hope and like be like, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm so attached to everything that I make, like maybe a little too attached to everything that I make. And same goes for TV. So, I mean, the dream is to have some, trust and freedom and to be able to develop TV projects, but I could never just like send them off for somebody else to run and somebody else to write. So maybe someday I'll make that transition in TV. Maybe it's soon. I don't know. Well, it's up to.
We'll keep our fingers crossed.
Yes, please do.
I'm gonna go ahead and we'll go ahead and stop now. And I would like to thank you for coming out and doing the show.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank the audience, the chat, for coming in and being totally involved. Thank you so much for supporting Leah. This has been amazing. This has been a lot of fun, and I can't wait to have, like I said, we'll have Mariah come on in November, and we'll do this all over again. You can come out and say hi to her, and then I'll be asking her some tough questions, and then it'll be a lot of fun. And then when the Grease movie is done, we'll have you come back and talk about that.
I got to thank you so much for following my career and my work, and I really appreciate you watching even the short films, which not everybody does, but everybody is well versed in. So I just want to thank you so much for being a part of so many of my projects, and especially.
I love it. I think you're a hell of a talent, and I have been really enjoying following your career, and I can't wait to see what you come up with next. I really can't. You're very talented and very skilled, and thank you for not only doing this interview, but thank you for helping me get Hillary. I owe you big for that one.
You got it.
Thank you so much to everybody. Tomorrow night, our friend Michelle will be here. She has a YouTube channel called Makeup Mom and Son. It's a beauty channel. See, I'm a very diversified interviewer. So we'll have our friend Michelle come on the show, and but she's also a big horror film fan. Big. She knows shit too. I'm just watching her in different chats, and she's just bringing it. I'm going like, holy cow, she knows more than most men I know. But she's also going to talk about her channel, and that'll be tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Hopefully you guys will subscribe to the channel. If you're here on YouTube, subscribe to me and the Cheetah, and please hit the notification button and to let you know when we're doing this next. Leah, stay right where you're at, and we'll see everybody tomorrow, hopefully. And until the next one, peace.